Yeah. 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 So many lies that you hear from the net, they don't get her respect. She reporting the truth, not a check. You want an unbiased opinion, straight from the chest. Not a bit of accomplice or someone here for a check. Tune in, these are thoughts from a lawyer on a mission who goes so hard it's like she works on commission. Trolls in the comments might say she tripping cause they lack the knowledge. They don't know they missing. Got a couple current events that you like. Wanna know about law from the eyes. Tired of all these blogs running lies because their agendas are disguised. Tune in to the intellect, cause I'm sure y'all missing all the facts of the case that she steady is gifted. Someone here for the people, man, it's so uplifting. If you ain't subscribed yet, then you just omitting facts.
I don't know why this is moving slow. It was skipping and everything. But anyway, hello everyone. It is Pam Esquire, also known as your law intellect. I hope you guys are having a fabulous Friday. You guys know what we're here for. We are here to talk about Sean Diddy Combs for the 5,252nd time. Well, today is his last shot, aka closing arguments. And I'm looking at these tweets and I'm not feeling it. I'm gonna be honest. Guys know I'm straight up. I'm not really feeling it. I think, first of all, make sure you guys hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Yesterday, there was closing for the government. The government did what the government does is they take everything and they put it together. They're not trying to have all the theatrics. They just want you to understand and try to make it clear and concise to put the facts with the law. Now, it's their facts on how they interpret it, and they want to try to get the jury to interpret it only one way. That's it. That's their job. All of the whatever reasonable doubt that we've seen in cross-examination, they want to eliminate that and say, you should think the way I think. The videos with the 2016 video, I guess, at the hotel, we want you to think that this is this way. We want you to think that when she went to a hotel room so that she can heal, it was because she was kidnapped. We want you to think that, yeah, they had a number of freak-offs and we showed you guys a whole lot of videos and talked about a whole lot. But you know what? You only need one. So if any time you think that they did not want to engage, that's trafficking. So a lot of people, I saw mixed reviews, but I think the majority was saying they thought that the government did a good job. I've seen some people talk about the demeanor of the defense table. For me personally, a lot of times your demeanor is kind of like anxious, and it's not because you think you losing. It's because you like, oh, wait till I get up here. Ooh, hurry up. Can you wrap this up? Because I got something to say. And you got to sit there and your client has to sit there and basically listen to things that you believe are lies. And so you just can't wait. Like you just, like double dutch. You just getting ready to jump in. That's kind of how you are. So when people were saying that, I didn't necessarily think that the defense was concerned. I just think they maybe have wanted to jump in. With Diddy, of course, he should look nervous. I mean, this is his life. At the end of the day, all of those attorneys are leaving up out of there. Diddy is the only one that may not. So, yeah, he should be. And he spent millions of dollars. I've been very, very frank about my bias when it comes to Nicole Westmoreland. I think she is an excellent attorney. And I just really have problems with the problem that I have. One of the issues I have with this out of, other issues that I probably mentioned before. One of them is that Diddy did not try to get black lawyers till dang near the 11th hour. Like literally 2-3 weeks before trial, he was looking for a black lawyer. Well, that became public. He may have done that behind the scenes and couldn't find one. I don't know. I'm just really not an Agnifilo fan. So I'm just going to be honest with you. My excuse, when I'm biased, I'm going to tell you I'm biased. When I'm unbiased, I'm going to tell you that. I feel like Nicole Westmoreland is the GOAT. Black women have to work so much harder just to prove that they belong where they pass the same test that everybody else passed. And I think that she did a great job, and I think she probably could tell a story. Agnifilo comes across to me, and I'm not in the courtroom, but the stuff I read, I was like, bro, you have to balance between the theatrics of it all for them to feel you with you sounding like, oh, we don't really want to minimize that Cassie was beat. We don't want to minimize that these people were strung out on drugs. We don't want to minimize that your client act like a hoe. We don't minimize that. And I think it's not a good idea to try to minimize that. I think what you do is you admit that. And then you say, this was a time that he wasn't the greatest person. And he regrets that. This is why he was in years of therapy or whatever he went through. But this is relationship versus RICO. This is relationship versus ex trafficking. This is relationship versus prostitution. What the government is trying to do is police relationships. We don't want the government to tell us what type of relations we can have. We don't want the government that when a woman is on Mad Day, when they were down for it, now that they're mad, they all of a sudden want to say, I didn't want it. I never wanted it. We don't want that to happen, because now you want everybody and what they do. They have to be nervous. They said yesterday, they brought up baby oil is manufactured in New Jersey. So because apparently, of course, the baby oil was traveling from state to state. Interstate commerce. This is how deep this is getting. You have something that was Astroglide, was manufactured here. And because you took it to Turks and Caicos, that's part of the international. That's the interstate commerce. This is what the government does. The government is doing what the government does. So I wasn't necessarily, when it was like, oh, you get people that are non-attorneys that'll say, oh, they cooked. I mean, this is what they do. I mean, they got way more resources. Typically, they have a heads up, obviously. Defense attorneys come after the fact. Then they know the evidence, and they then give it to you whenever they give it to you 2 months later or whatever it is. They've been sleeping, almost eating, sleeping, and dreaming of this evidence for 6-7 months before you even get it as a defense attorney. So they already have a leg up. So they know the facts and they apply it to the law. And they try to get you to interpret their facts so it can fit the law. So what you have to do is persuade the judge, the jury, to look at the facts from your point of view, which would be, this is all about relationships. But, I'm not in the courtroom. I could just, you can read certain things. And sometimes, honestly, how you interpret things can be a reflection on you. And so that's why I acknowledge I have a little bit of bias. So because of that, maybe I'm just reading it like, I kind of ain't want him to do the closing anyway. So I have to just give my disclaimer. And that's not to say he's not a good attorney. I just never really felt him from the bond hearing, if I were to be perfectly honest. It's like, So anyway, let me look at some of your comments. They don't even stretch before they reach. It's insane. The precedent this case can set is scary, and people are allowing their hate for put. Thank you so much for bringing that up. This is what you call a slippery slope. How do you know it's a slippery slope? Because they keep quoting R. Kelly as their authority. The R. Kelly case. They wanted and got away with it with the R. Kelly case. And R. Kelly's cases was different. from what I understand. Didn't really watch, keep up with it like that. So I don't want to give too much opinion on it because I really didn't. But the fact that they are quoting our recent cases with entertainers lets you know that they are trying to set precedent for the future. People are saying, I believe more people wanted to support Puff, but I think this is so prevalent in Hollywood. They probably nervous. Look at Jane, how she testified. She went to Vegas and someone else was having a freak off. Then you have a conversation with someone who says, do you know somebody, me and my girl, we trying to do the same thing. This is what they do. That means that if this is a norm within Hollywood, it could be a norm all over. I've seen some cases where, like I said, a woman was missing. This was like in one of the prominent neighborhoods in Grosse Pointe, and she was missing. They found her car over in the hood in Detroit. Come to find out, her and her husband were swingers, and they were like money. They were swingers. They had a dungeon in the basement where they had people coming over, and they had three ways and all of that. And he ended up falling in love with the lady they was doing the three ways with. And so, the wife came up missing and unalived, and he got charged with it. You can look it up. It's Bob Bashir. So as what you're saying is, for instance, if someone is having the three ways or four ways or whatever they're doing, and then buy you flowers or something, are we saying that's commercial? What about polygamy? Like sister wives? Listen, I don't know. And that's what I'm saying. You may not like Puff, but you should be careful about the precedent that this case is going to set. That's why I think it's way more important. It's bigger than Puff. So, anyways, 501K said it's a norm in many places. It is. So, Wanda said, yes, I agree. They keep referring to the R. Kelly case, and I don't like it. That's letting you guys know we are using these cases when we come after these Black men or entertainers, and we're using these cases in order to corroborate what we're saying. So you guys basically had whatever amount of freak offs with all of these people, and then tell the jury, all you need is one where they look like they didn't have consent, and you've already got enough for trafficking. So that's why people were like, dang, this is real basic. We was just paying attention to the wrong stuff. So what the government did was, I think when they seen what people were saying on the internet, they went and they found case law to expand on the jury instructions to say, because what happened is, like in R. Kelly, we know he appealed. If R. Kelly said it was consensual, and then the Court of Appeal says it doesn't matter if it was consensual, all you needed was one time of one person saying that it wasn't consensual. They take that opinion from the court and they try to add it to the case law. To the jury instruction. So now, instead of it just generally saying the prongs of trafficking, you start adding caveats like it can be more, it only has to be one time. It only has to be this. It only has to be that. So then for the government's purpose, they can take away basically the defense's arguments. Southern Belle said, Pam, they are making examples out of freak nasty 304s. I ain't heard 304 in so long. Kia Elder 305 said it's strange that after all this time, Oprah and TD Jakes are not publicly discussing Diddy. Nothing shocks me. So anyways, you guys know what we're here for. Make sure you hit the like button and subscribe. So the trafficking has nothing to do. It does, because they're saying they cross state lines. So they put the escorts in there because basically the escorts were saying that they don't believe they were trafficked and they don't believe anybody didn't enjoy it. But they're saying Jane, they threw the escorts in there, maybe perhaps thinking the escorts witnessed something. I don't know. But it's really with Jane and Cassie saying, like when Cassie said they tried to use I think they steered away from the elevator incident because it was hard to show. They had already had a freak off. She was trying to leave. And I guess, we saw what happened in the hallway, but I don't think there was any information that he was trying to make her stay to do a freak off. And then she did end up leaving. But there was a time, I guess in 2007, they mentioned, and during that time, or 2009, I think during that time, they were saying that she wanted to leave, and then they named Roger Bonds and some other people, I guess, and they say that she was at a hotel and they were just there almost like protecting the room. And so they said that was kidnapping. Kelly said, I still don't think the prosecutor has proved their case. I think that the defense needs to do a little better than what I'm saying. Again, I'm not in the courtroom. So maybe when people come out, and then I don't even like listening to what people have to say, almost because everybody is so different. Like you go to one, oh my God, they cook. You go to another one, oh, they were mediocre and lackluster. And so the people that are pro Diddy, and the ones that are pro government, and they think it's all about Cassie. But we know the ones that are like that. So it's hard to gauge. And I didn't even want to get the transcript yesterday. I've really had a long week with working, very, very long. Every single hearing I had started at 8:30 in the morning, and typically they start at 10. So I've just been really, really busy and preparing. So yesterday when I went live after my hearing and went and talked about Whitehead, I just couldn't even get back on. So thank you, Lisa. I appreciate that. Kelly said, I'm just pro evidence. I haven't seen it. Mimi said, my opinion is if he hadn't abused and treated them, men and women alike, like trash, then none of this would have been an issue. You're right, Mimi. I agree with that. His nasty arse got into this predicament when he sued the liquor company. I agree with that too. I think this did not tell you guys several videos ago. If nothing else, Diddy probably regrets treating people like trash. If you reap what you sow, that is a universal principle, despite whatever you believe. You reap what you sow. And I think that you can't just treat people any old kind of way and move on with your life. And then you never know when you might need those people. That's burning bridges. And just you should never treat humans like that. We are here for a job. Our job is a group of people that God has called us to serve. And he had a lot of authority and a lot of money, of which he could have helped people that had gifts that were given from God. And he exploited some of them, allegedly, according to them, took away their masters or publishing, set people on the shelf. And I get it. A lot of the stuff he did is not uncommon. But you are in a position as a Black man, and I'm just saying this generally because I don't know what deals he made to get where he got, if any. But assuming his hard work paid off and he got there, you could change the trajectory for your people, and you didn't do that. You chose to let everybody know you the big bad wolf. And so unfortunately, this is the consequence of it. So there's that. Let me pull this up. Olga said Diddy is an addict and a DV abuser. I agree with that. Not a criminal. Well, that is a criminal. Okay. If you get caught with drugs, you go to jail. Unless in certain states you have marijuana, you know what I'm saying? If you beat someone up and they press charges, you go to jail. So I would say he is a criminal, but maybe not these crimes. That I can agree with. And you said they couldn't get him on those charges, so they threw the book at him to make something stick. So your sentence is a little contradictory, but I get what you're saying because you said he's not a criminal, then say they couldn't get him on the charges of DV and addict. So you agree with me. Maybe it was just worded a little bit wrong, or you were, we get excited about this stuff. But yeah, that's still a crime. Those are crimes though that ain't gonna get you much time. Those crimes will probably get them a little probation and some drug court, or perhaps so there are diversion programs like what the guy that got caught with the personal, and they called him the drug mule, Brendan Paul. He got a diversion program. I heard people say he worked for the government and that's how he got it dismissed. No, he did a diversion program. He wasn't caught with a whole lot. He was caught with a personal. So typically they had diversion programs. You go get treatment and that's it. That's what Diddy probably would have gotten. DV the same way. They have a lot of programs where on your first offense, you can get anger management, relationship management, all of that. The problem that I have with those programs at times, I've used them several times for my clients, or, got those for my clients, is that as with anything, if you're not ready to change, it does not matter. Because really, in theory, the court is making you go to this stuff. So if you don't feel like anything is wrong with you and you're not ready to change, then it doesn't help you at all. You're going to be back in this situation. So I don't even know if because he's gotten convicted of assault before, and I think he got probation when he beat up the one of the producer or something, and he still was acting this way. See, this is what I say about sometimes you get some people where they have one encounter with the justice system and they're like, I don't never want to do this again. Then you get some people that start feeling a little Teflon Donish and they're like, oh, that's nothing to a boss. And then they don't change. So those are catch-22s about those programs. So Zootor said the Cassie Hotel video was leaked on purpose to prevent Diddy from getting a fair trial and to prevent him from getting bail. It's very crucial. Your client is your lead counsel, should be. You have the laws, you have the wherewithal to argue, you know what's important and what's not, but they have the story. So you need your client to connect with this story. If they're in prison, yes, you can, or in jail, lock up. You can go see them, but there's time limits, there's time frames, there's certain hours, and it's a restriction. In this type of case, he needed to be talking about this case all day. And I do think he did some dumb moves after the Cassie lawsuit. Some of his moves were dumb, like calling Jane, trying to remind her of how great it was. Okay, bro, they about to investigate you. Why are we texting any of this stuff? Having D-Rock contact Mia. Hey, what's going on, Mia? Can you come and meet with us? That was obvious. They were trying to see, I guess, who was on board and who was going to tell, maybe some of the things that they have seen or witnessed. Who was going to turn on Diddy and who wasn't. So I understand you wanting to, I reach out to witnesses all the time. So I think that's kind of their argument, but I just don't think that it was the right time to do so. So some of this stuff, the way he moved, caused some of this as well. So I have a text message. Let me see. Thank you so much, Lisa, for the Cash App. And C. Hawkins, thank you for the Cash App. I appreciate it. You guys are the best. Hello, am blessed. Good to see you. Kia Elder said you can also get a first time offender sentence for a little amount of drugs if it's never happened before. Well, I don't know if it's actually a sentence. Yeah, it's a diversion. So what happens is you go to the programs, and if you successfully complete them, you get your case dismissed. That's what happened with Brendan Paul. People are saying, no, it's because the government and the government. No, it was no. No, he got a diversion program, and he said it was because he got a good lawyer. And people's like, no, it's because you're working for the feds. No, that's because that's typically one of, if you've never had gotten trouble before and you get caught with some drugs, they are not about to throw the hammer at you. They make it seem like he came and was found with a kilo or something. Okay, hold on, you guys. I was making salmon before I got on here, some salmon. And so I have to get it out the oven. So hold on one second. And then when I get back, we're going to go over those tweets. Thank you so much for your patience. Now, without further ado, let's see what these tweets got to say, because then you guys can hear you can understand what I was saying about Agnifilo. And I'm saying I'm biased, so I'm not gonna lie to y'all. If you guys think differently, it's okay. Just let me know what you think. Okay, so they start talking about some laptops and all of that good stuff. You know, they always have their preliminary matters. So at 9:28 a.m., judge says, all rise. The jury enters probably looking like, here we go again. Or maybe they're in the mind like, you get one person, dang, I'm glad this almost over. Another person, can we just go on back there and deliberate already? Somebody else is probably thinking about their daughter putting on mismatched clothes this morning. Somebody's probably saying, I ain't even get my coffee. So you got all these people coming in with a whole lot of stuff going on. They go sit down with their notebooks that they've been diligently documenting. And then the judge says, Mr. Agnifilo, are you prepared to proceed with the defense closing? Agnifilo says he gets up, and I guess he says, yes, Your Honor, because we're only going to get partial tweets. Of course, he's not able to type every single line from Agnifilo. And so Agnifilo says, there is a trial set forth by the text messages. Then there is the trial out of the prosecutor's mouth. They are different. The trial from the evidence. What is it? It is personal use drugs. That's all it is. That and swingers, a lifestyle. But the prosecutors have charged one of the most serious statutes on the books. They called threesomes and drugs as RICO. I would like to thank you for your services to our country. I would love to speak with you for days, but it's Friday. I'm trying to be efficient. I have to cover a lot of grounds, but I'll focus on the most important part, Sean Combs. That's the only part. I will focus on I hope that was just, he typed that right. Like, I'm going to focus on the most important part, Sean Combs. Sean Combs is a self-made Black entrepreneur. He has built real businesses that are so outstanding that others create partnerships with them. We heard that from Derek Ferguson. It is hard to be Sean Combs. How many witnesses said that they were moved? The assistants were moved by Sean Combs. It was like Harvard Business School. He pushed me hard. Did they always like him? No way. Let's not even go there. Did they like him? No. But they loved him. Even the ones who are suing him. Mia? I'm not going to call her Mia because that's not her name. I'm going to call her the witness who testified as Mia. Remember Derek Ferguson from the Bronx? He said there were not many hiring people like me from the Bronx. There's something more to these businesses. Sometimes the real things in life are hard. No one remembers the easy days. These people grew. It was real. It was diversity. These days, DEI, Combs was doing it at 24. So I understand they have to say that he is a prominent business person because they're trying to say he has a criminal enterprise. But in my opinion, bragging about a dude who was dragging some woman by her hair in a hallway, this ain't the time for all that. You know, you got to show that they're real businesses. And I would have piggybacked off of the government, how the government started out by saying something about he was the leader of a criminal enterprise. I would have started out, he was the leader, but it was not of a criminal enterprise. He is a businessman who has been successful and partnered with several people in businesses that are legitimate. But on the flip side, he's also a human being with a life. And he may have chosen a life that you don't like, may have chosen a life that I don't like, may have chosen a life that people couldn't even fathom. But he did have a personal life. And that personal life is now on display by the government. And they're trying to flip this into a criminal enterprise. Everyone should be nervous at this point. Everyone. To allow the government to usurp their power in order to turn someone's, the way they choose, the liberties that they're allowed in this here United States of America, then now you're going to scrutinize their lifestyles. I would have definitely touched on the fact that he has, because it's very important that they're legit because you have a RICO. But to spend so much time on bios like you are that when we know he was trash and some of his behaviors, I don't think I'd have done that. But again, this ain't my case, so just saying. All right, let's go on. So they say he a DEI, you know, he been champion for DEI at 24. The prosecutors call his business racketeering. That's the fake trial. What happens? He gets arrested. They destroy his property. They have an SRT, special response team. They are clandestine, can't follow with the camera, rampant. They ran. Okay, got to be stuff missing because none of that's adding up for me. Let's go on. His kids were there. And here, 6 or 7 in the second row, the 7th is an infant. This is who he is. The man takes care of people. Jane came here and testified against him. Today, she's in a house that he's paying for, which is wild. That is pretty wild. And they found it. Box of Astroglide. So clearly there got to be something we missing in between it. Taken off the streets. And they got the baby oil and they got exclamation points. So that's why I said he need to relax. He's in there. And they found it. Boxes of Astroglide taken off the streets. And they got the baby oil and the personal use drugs. America is safer. 5 Valium pills. When you're doing work like that, we can't photograph you. That's the evidence. So I guess he's saying, like, I think he's trying to say, like, woo-hoo-hoo. So they found that in his house. Ooh, Astroglide. Ooh, baby oil. Our streets are safer now. That's why I said he need to calm down. He seemed like he being a little sarcastic. Okay. What do? They wrap yellow crime scene tape figuratively around the bedroom, around the hotel rooms he goes to with his girlfriends. That's a lot of crime scene tape. The crime scene is your private ex-life. No one called 911. They called civil plaintiffs' lawyers. This case is about money. Cassie Ventura sued Sean Combs for 30 million stacks because he has $30 million. If he doesn't have it, no civil lawsuit and no criminal case. Well, that's why he should have just gave her the money before she filed. But, don't nobody listen to me. This case is about 5 minutes. It's about love. Love has been said more than 800 times in this trial. The domestic violence. We own it. We did not ask Miss Ventura about being hit, kicked, or dragged. We did not cross Jane about it either. But domestic violence is not charged. If he was charged with that, he would have pled guilty. He did that. But he did not do racketeering, conspiracy, and ex-trafficking. He did not kidnap or bribe anyone. The first person to say this was about domestic violence was Cassie Ventura. She made an Instagram post. She said, "Thank you for your love and support. The domestic violence is the issue." She could have said anything on her phone or tablet. So now that is true. After that, she did say domestic violence was the issue. So this whole I was ex-trafficked or prostituted, I don't even think Cassie really believed that. Like she said, in 2023, she went to some type of a retreat, and there was a therapist who, when she probably confided in the therapist, they said, "Girl, you was trafficked?" She was like, huh. And again, we also don't know how thorough or what she left out when she talked to the therapist. But that's what the therapist's conclusion was, is what she testified to, because that's when she actually got clean from drugs, which was about 5 years after leaving Diddy. She could have said this was about ex-trafficking. She didn't say that. I agree with you, Agnefalo. She said it was about domestic violence. Believe her. Believe Cassie when she says domestic violence is the issue. In that moment, watching that video, imagine that. To see their relationship is to see everything that racketeer is not. I'm not going to go through a lot of text messages or charts or screen time. It's a terrible thing. Screen time, I'm told. I'm going to tell you the story of this case. They fell in love. Cassie had a boyfriend of 3 years, 10 years older than her. But she meets Combs and they are off to the races. Mr. Combs rents a boat and they make love for the first time. They are in an intense relationship, 11 years. But Cassie is smart. She flat out won. That I agree with. She got 30 million, and he's in jail. You probably know that. The nice looking men behind him, they are U.S. Marshals. Why would he say he's in jail? The reason why they let the defense I mean, they probably know that. But the reason why they let defendants, one of the reasons to wear street clothes is because they don't want them to be perceived as the connection of being in jail. So usually don't even let them know that the person is in jail. So he's not going to be like escorted out of the court until the jurors are out. And then they get him and put him in handcuffs and all of that. Like they take the handcuffs off, because there is case law when jurors see your handcuffs or see your ankle chains. So why would he say he's in jail? I don't know. You probably know that. Even if they did, I don't think I would have brought it up. But anyway, the nice looking men behind you, him, they're U.S. Marshals. They keep him safe. Why is that in here? Cassie has won 100-0. They tell you she's a victim. See what I'm saying? She was a victim of domestic violence. We can't minimize what Cassie experienced. This is a great modern love story. What the heck? A great modern love story? Are you serious? This is pissing me off. I Queen Brielle. He actually represented, Agnifilo represented Rainier, who got 100 and something years. So what? Jackpot said this man about to blow the last attempt. Elite said because they know he's in jail. They could know that, Elite. My point is, we fought for jurors, we being people that are in this judicial world, and there's case law. Regardless to whether they know it or not, that is nothing that you talk about. Because honestly, if they would have seen him in his handcuffs, they would have been talking to the judge to say they want a mistrial because the jury seen him in his handcuffs. So I wouldn't even brought it up. That's all I'm saying. And that's all. Chad, the worst one. If that's love, I don't want it. They said a modern day love story. Okay, we're only getting half of the information, so maybe it's more to it. I don't know. This is a great modern love story. They didn't write these in the past because they didn't have these problems. He had 6 kids at the time. It's a relationship based on love. Cassie said she was young and insanely jealous. If you're in the jury room and you don't want to go home, read their text messages at the time of the breakup. You will cry. They were selfless with each other. When it wasn't going to work for the original sin of their relationship, that damn Gina, who didn't show up, alleged victim number 3. Okay, I added that. Gina wouldn't come here, but she's out there. Then Kim Porter passed away. And Mr. Combs said what he did. For Cassie, it was the last straw. She made an adult choice and left, like she always could leave. What happened? Nothing. Pick a message from 2018 and read it. Yep, go ahead. These 2 people loved each other. If racketeer and conspiracy had an opposite, it would be their relationship. This is really making me mad. What the hell are you saying, Agnifilo? They were their best selves when it came to sex. There were times that Sean Combs was proud. On X, SEX, they found each other. It's a beautiful thing. You won't find a single text where she says, I didn't like that. X. It was an 11-year relationship. The issues were jealousy and other women. But they matched up when it came to sex. They were swingers. She's a woman who loves X. And it's beautiful. She is unafraid. Let's talk about Kid Cudi. He came in here, and I'm not meaning to be judgy. Cudi comes here and says, Cassie played me. And she did. She played them both. Not everyone can do that. She goes for it. She liked Tashawn Combs that she had a relationship with another singer-songwriter under his nose. She's not afraid of him. Was she going to tell either? No. Cassie is keeping it gangster. She's like, I'm going to lie to both. Cassie gets a burner phone. Look at the estimation point. Finally, that's what you expect in a racketeering case. So now they shifting it and saying she was actually the racketeer. She's the one who got the burner phone the morning of December 22nd, 2021. The whole thing with Cudi and all that. She had 2 hotel rooms. Whoa, a room for the burner. She was not going to tell nobody nothing. Let's talk racketeering. The judge is going to give a legal charge later today, assuming. The first one is the 2004 kidnapping of Capricorn Clark. Let's talk about her. She said, I wanted my life back. Oh, God. Y'all all right over here? Because this is just ugh. For Eyes Forever say he's shifting the blame on the victim. He said, who wrote this? Elite Leo said, I don't like how the prosecutor trying to make everyone responsible for Cassie except Cassie. Like, at what point does she take accountability for allowing herself to be treated in such a manner? I don't know, Elite Leo, but let me know, because they call that victim blaming if you say, where's your accountability? So you let me know when you come up with something. Power Dynamics said, Pam, you got me rolling with the dramatics. I need you guys to feel like you in the courtroom, okay? Rod said, black eyes, busted lips, STDs, thorns in the mouth. Now that's love. He's delusional. Teen Spice said, Cudi shouldn't have said that. You gave him a hook, Cudi. Queen Brielle said, I was hoping still at Westmoreland would have done closing. They are better, in my opinion. I think so. But people gonna come out and say, what they thought the jury was, because they said some people said jurors was falling asleep yesterday, which does happen. You got to keep them engaged, or they will take a nice little nap in the middle of your stuff. Okay. Judon said there is absolutely 0 victims in this case. I do think that Cassie was young. I'll give her that at 20 something. I do believe that, but where do we cut that off on blaming age? That's my issue with that. To say he groomed her, I don't know. She was with somebody for 3 years, 10 years older than her. So why are y'all not saying he groomed her? So I'm not sure if I agree with that. Sorry, somebody was texting me. But DV is serious. And I think that you have to balance it in a way where you're not minimizing his wrongful act. To just say, he admits it, it is what it is. I don't think that's good enough. I think that you should be just as descriptive when you say, there's the racketeering. He had a burner phone. No, you need to be sympathetic, like he's very sorry. I know, the video came out and people didn't like the way it was. No, he's really sorry. Because before he even had to apologize, before the video came out, he apologized to her and said, by the grace of God, basically, we're still alive because of all the stuff that we were doing. So you got to balance it. It's tough, but these are seasoned attorneys, then you have to balance it. But I just want y'all to kind of see that I wasn't trying to just be, I do have a bias towards Westmoreland. I do. But I like Brian Steele too. I really do. Not really as familiar with the other individuals, and they may be just as good. I don't know. Those are the two. And Agnifilo, I kind of have some, I'm not going to say experience, but some familiarity with him and how he moves. And I didn't like it from the bond. So anyway. Robert said he's with the jury all these weeks. He must have picked up on something. His style is different, but might be effective. Robert, you may be right. It may just be a girl, because I told you, just a little bias. So you may be right. All right. So let's go on. You're talking about Capricorn. I got a sneeze that just will not come. Hold on. Capricorn Clark's parents passed away when she was young. And I don't mean any disrespect. She told you. And I'm happy that she did. Others didn't tell you about their parents. She moves to the Bronx and meets Sean Combs. She goes super platonic. What? I think she means she didn't want it to be platonic. She's out there. You can see it. She says, I had the biggest crush on you. I think we misused our dope chemistry. I agree with that. I think Capricorn kind of like Sean Combs. I do. When she said super platonic, it just kind of threw me off. I'm like, why would you feel like you got to do the extra? No, we were just friends. That's all you took me. We were super platonic. Like, I really got to have you believe that, okay? It was just, when you try to take the emphasis off of something, sometimes it actually places more emphasis on it than what somebody probably would have even paid attention to. So anyway. The Supreme Court is really doing it. So I'll be getting breaking news from the Supreme Court. So breaking news. The U.S. Supreme Court on today allowed President Donald Trump to partially implement his executive order aimed at limiting birthright citizenship, and a ruling that also established that individual federal district court judges don't have authority to issue court coast-to-coast orders that apply beyond parties to a case. Just in case you guys cared. Let's go on. Hit the like button for your girl. Subscribe to the channel. If she's kidnapped, why does she want to go back and work for him? She's getting her nails done with Mike B. He's going to be mad at me. She said she called 1440 and said, lock everyone in. She got the lie detector. And Mike B did too. So you guys remember that Capricorn Clark was responsible for this jewelry. And then the jewelry vanished and she noticed it wasn't in her bag. So she actually, I noticed that too. She actually is the one that told security to lock everyone in and check their stuff. So if you in your capacity was saying lock everyone in, check their stuff, don't let them move, how are we saying that was some type of kidnapping? And then wanted to have a lie detector test for everybody, I guess. And then, so how do you say when it's your turn, because now we don't believe you because you were the one responsible for it. We going to your apartment, we're about to search it, and we locking you down to take a lie detector test. So yeah, I did think that was interesting how the same thing that happened to them, that she kind of felt that it shouldn't happen to her. But so then Agnifilo says, how was she kidnapped? She went home every day, which was also weird. She stayed at this place for a day, according to her. Then she would go home, and then he'd come back and pick her up in the morning. He would have came back to pick me up, and I wouldn't have been there. Okay, and that would have been the end of my job. Now, the problem is Diddy and them probably would have filed some type of report because they did borrow the jury, and they may have accused her of take it. They would have every right to say that she stole it, and they could have tried to file a report. And that's what I think. If this happened and they did have her taken live, I think that's what made her want to prove that she didn't do anything. Because honestly, the repercussions as you being the responsible party could have been, I'm telling the police you stole it. You was the last person we gave it to, and now it's gone. So how do you really defend that? There's really no defense. You had it, now all of a sudden you ain't got it no more. So then Agnifilo says, is the government alleging 5 separate kidnappings? Paulie drove her home. Door-to-door kidnapping? The SDNY is charging this as kidnapping? They said he started laughing. It's not kidnapping. He is aggravating me. I don't know why this man is aggravating me like this. Please do. I don't know. Thank you so much, Power Dynamics. I don't know if I thanked you for the super chat. I appreciate it, sis. She also said she wanted to take the test to prove her innocence. Yeah, she did say that. My sister said that somebody kidnapped the likes because she don't see enough. All right, so I need y'all to come on and be released so that you can hit the likes. Shani said he's playing a common sense, in my opinion, not technical stuff. I agree that that's what he's doing, but you just don't want to come off. And I'm not in there. So I'm just, when you hear me kind of acting it out, it's just how I'm reading it. And again, sometimes you interpret things based on your own life experiences or your own trauma, how you interpret stuff. So I might be looking in the mirror right now. I'm looking at him like, ugh, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. But I just feel like, y'all know me. I take exclamation points seriously. I take all caps seriously. I take how you write it seriously. So that's how I hear you saying it. All this laughing and all of that, I don't know if it's just that time. Like, this is serious. So I don't know. Again, people may come out and be like, oh, they in there roasting. I don't know. But I'm just, from what I'm reading, and it's not everything because it's just a tweet. So I do say that. A lady 747 said they only have to prove 1 or 2 kidnappings, and Agnifilo is disgusting. Yes. Okay. TJ may have said it best. There is a difference between being personable and rambling. With the weird, beautiful love story comments, just yikes. Okay. That is the best way to articulate it. You always want, do I have juries that have laughed at what I said, just like you guys do at times? Yes, I have. Now I got to take it back. You said Nancy Grace agreed with the laughter. I'm taking it all back. No, I'm joking. Do I have it where, but what I do is I try to get personable where they care about my story. You guys see how I tell my stories. I am pretty similar when I'm talking to a jury, very similar, except I'm not going to be to the point of making it seem like I'm mocking it in any way, especially if it's that serious. But you're going to feel like you're there. You get what I'm saying. You can feel the pain of it all. Whatever emotions that's coming from what's coming out of my mouth, that's what I want you to hear. If it's an auto accident, I want you to imagine someone who was an athlete. And now, like, I had a client that was going to the Olympics and ended up getting sick from mold in his house. That type of thing. You're like, imagine training coming all the way from Africa, and you're training and this is your livelihood. And then suddenly, because of the negligence of someone in a home, because they don't feel like, they just want to save a couple of dollars, your health is totally fading away in your 20s. Like, you want them to be in that mindset of whatever the issue is. So the personable, I understand, but I don't even know if Agnifilo has that about him. I don't know. If you look at him, like, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah. M. Max said you can't be intentionally funny and attempt to marginalize us. And that's what I'm concerned about. Like, let's not minimize. All of this stuff is crazy. Lie detector tests in buildings, if you believe it. I think I would have been like, I wouldn't even like what you're saying absolutely makes no sense. But if I'm going to include that as really being a part of happening, because honestly, nobody knows if this happened or not. They ain't called the lie detector test guy, allegedly. They haven't called none of these security guards. We don't have any corroboration that this even happened. I don't understand why so many people they talked about that didn't actually come to trial, why they didn't do a missing person instruction or empty chair instruction. That if they were to call this person, basically they know they wouldn't have benefited them. So that's why they chose not to call them. They didn't call way too many people. And I would have, I don't know why they didn't. Maybe they do got it in there, but I definitely would have asked for the people you ain't see. I'm going to need the jury to assume that's because they weren't going to benefit the government. That's why they didn't call them. Because there's too many people they just didn't call. So a lot of this stuff can't even be corroborated if you even want to believe what they're saying about this whole lie detector debacle and whatnot. Now, somebody else testified to having to take a lie detector test, but they didn't have this dramatic story. They didn't have it where they got into a building that nobody was in and they came and got them 5 times. That's not what they said. It was across the board. If things came up missing or whatever, they made y'all take lie detector tests. And she just has the dramatic story of the 5 days and them coming back and forth to get her and all of that. But none of these people can corroborate that this is how her experience was because it's just her word. So what the defense did very well during cross of all these people is basically challenge their credibility. This is what the government was worried about, where they was like, well, all of this stuff they're saying don't matter. All you gotta do is believe 2 predicate acts. Either it could be the kidnapping, it could be the rape, it could be the arson, it could whatever. We don't care what it is. We just need 2 predicate acts. So they made it that clear and concise where people was like, oh, okay, well, it's hit. And with trafficking, they could have consented 1,000 times, but on the 1,001st time, if they didn't consent, it's trafficking. They made it like that to try to peel away from the cross-examination and their credibility on a lot of these people. That was their point. So now you got to flip it back on them. Because why talk about half this stuff if you're saying it ain't even necessary? Why are we even discussing it? Because you just want to make him look bad? Why discuss half of the stuff that you talked about if you're saying it doesn't even matter in your case? So let's go on. Chaney said, if I were on the jury, I would look at how they all wanted to go back with him, as well as contact Diddy, including Cassie, if they allegedly got away. A lot of this was quid pro quo. Having a relationship with Diddy, they don't want to burn that bridge because Diddy has access. They want to go to the Bad Boy tour. They want to have comp tickets. They want to be invited to the Met Gala. They want to go to Clive Davis's party. He has access. You heard the stylist who basically said, I don't like Puff, but every year you made sure you called him on his birthday or whatever to keep in contact. And then you asked him for some tickets for one of your homegirls. So do you guys not think that Sean Combs doesn't know that half these people around him is only around him because they're using him for his influence and his reach? He knows that. Yes, they want his lifestyle. Some of this stuff is quid pro, and the same thing with the women. It's women that take behind whoopings and the man is broke. So you think that Cassie wanted to give up? You heard Capricorn Clark basically said she stopped liking Cassie because Cassie started thinking that she was her assistant because I'm his woman. So she started getting that whole Diddy attitude. Y'all work for me. Bring me my shoes. Bring me my plate. So she started getting like totally enveloped in this lifestyle. When you look at Jane, some of them texts, she was giving orders. I'm one of his girls. I got special privileges. And she was willing to do what she thought he wanted to be in a relationship with him. She compromised. If she didn't want to do any of this stuff, which I don't personally, I think Jane enjoyed herself. But if she didn't want to do a lot of this stuff, I think that she would not have. I think it just benefited her. She was doing this stuff for her apartment before Diddy was even paying her $10,000. She did what she felt needed to be done so that she could remain in his orbit. And a lot of people have done that in this case. So it's me said, so much going on. We are becoming more and more desensitized, even being subpoenaed to testify to tell the truth or be a co-conspirator or charged with perjury, hence immunity. Catch 22. There's no real win. And then why, if this is such a big criminal enterprise, you guys keep saying, I mean, you guys, not y'all. The government is saying things such as the security guard is doing this. They kept her there. They were the ones that were guarding. It wasn't Diddy who blew up the car. It was somebody else, even though it wasn't a blow up. But you guys know what I'm saying. They damaged the vehicle with the cocktail. Nobody sitting next to him. And we still want to know where KK is. I need KK to call me. KK, call me, because I need to know where you at. Please support the platform. We appreciate it. Please. Anthony says Sean pro, but at least he read what's in writing. Rump Shakur said, you're absolutely right, Pam. They wanted to reap the benefits of his lifestyle. You hear Cassie say, where am I going to go? Jay-Z taking and Jane Doe been chasing a dollar. Yeah, Jane Doe says she has to have a man that take care of her. So for that to happen, typically there are things like the Playboy Mansion. Diddy's lifestyle was like it wasn't even as big as the Playboy Mansion. His lifestyle was like a mini Playboy Mansion. He created his own Playboy Mansion within his little orbit in his hotel or in the apartments, and they did whatever. When we watched if you watch that documentary, it was wild. And I just I think it not strange that they waited till Hugh Hefner died. He lived a full life in his 90s. And you guys wait till he died and everybody coming out talking about how they felt traumatized. Now, I think personally, a lot of them just trying to get a couple dollars off his estate as well. But there were no, the thing was, a lot of the people probably that would have prosecuted him or would have even investigated probably was at the Playboy Mansion too. Yeah, they like them. That's why I said a lot of these celebrities, I think they're not showing up because they're scared. Some of these people, some of them is scared, y'all. If they get Diddy, shoot, I'll be doing the dang thing. They might be looking back like, oh, shucks, they in our bedroom now? All right. Pam, is it possible for that some witnesses were called because they had criminal backgrounds and prosecuting want to get them immunity to testify? Well, there's a lot of people that have criminal backgrounds. What you have to do is you can get immunity. You can still get immunity. What happens is you just have to turn it over to defense. So if you have certain crimes involving theft, dishonesty, those type of crimes that affect your credibility, the other side can use that to go against your credibility as impeachment evidence. The fact that all of them have immunity, the government is using to kind of tell the jury, yeah, you might want to think twice when it comes to them because they all got immunity. So no, I don't think it affected them personally, but Andrea said, I'm glad I'm poor. I don't even understand these type of problems enough to be doing all this. You just got to have money with integrity. That's all. Ain't nothing wrong with having money now. If Diddy guilty, no way they don't indict Tyler Perry, Rico. The elements are there. I don't know. That's allegedly, Anthony. It's all just alleged. We just watched the YSL and ASAP Rocky cases. They should be scared. Yeah. So yeah, YSL turned out better than people expected. It ended up being a whole show, a ish show to be specific. And ASAP Rocky, I ain't even gonna lie. When Tacopino won that case, I was shocked because I thought that was the dumbest to say. Like what he said was a fake. It was fake GUN or something, or prop gun. That's what he was saying. It was a prop. I was like, oh my God. But the problem was the person who was accusing him was just not credible. Like he was on that witness stand looking crazy. So that's what it was. And that's what I was telling you all. We don't know what witnesses the jury even believes. They may say, we ain't believing nothing Capricorn got to say. We don't believe nothing Mia had to say. We don't believe nothing Jane had to say. We believe half of what Cassie got to say. We believe the stylist. You know, we don't know what type of weight they're putting on some of these people's testimony. So that's why I said just, you know, we got to be mindful of that. Thank you, Mars, for the super chat. I appreciate it. All right, let's get back. You know, we start discussing. I forget what we're here for. Okay, so he laughing about the kid. It's not kidnapping. He says, you guys come here after day, long days, and you come back the next. Have you been kidnapped? What? So he's asking the jury because they're spending a whole lot of days and then they're asked to come back the next day and they choose to come back. Are they being kidnapped? Well, kind of. Because if you don't show up, you might go ahead and get held in contempt and you might go to jail. And that is kind of like, you know, why are we even asking that? No, at the time, Sean Combs is in a Raisin in the Sun. He is running vote or die. He couldn't care less about this. The lie detector was former FBI. So I guess he's admitting they had lie detector tests. So there's that. You guys have the right to say, huh? That sounds like a stretch. Why charge it as kidnapping? Come to whatever answer you think is the right answer. Capricorn leaves for a year. She makes more money. Then she comes back. Next, Sean and Cassie are having a freak off. It's December 22nd, 2011. Cassie has 2 hotel rooms. Combs looks at her non-burner phone, sees messages from Cece about Cuddy. Maybe called Scott in the text something about hiking. Why would he have a GUN? He goes to get Capricorn. Why? She would do anything with him. Go to the moon. He didn't need a GUN. He didn't have a GUN. I think that's dumb because you're almost saying he has so much control over people that they would have just done what he said. So he ain't even need to have no, like he had so much fear in him, they would have just did what he wanted. Cuddy said Cassie told Cuddy that Cassie already told Combs. Are you following me? No, we're not. We're not. Cuddy said Cassie told Cuddy that Cassie already told Combs. Sean Combs has nothing to gain by having a GUN and everything to lose. He is already Sean Combs. Capricorn would love have stayed employed if he pulled a GUN on her. GUN on her. No way. Didn't happen. No GUN. Cuddy didn't say that Capricorn said Combs had a GUN because there was no GUN. Working backwards. Cuddy didn't tell the police about a GUN. It was written up as a trespass. That's all. There's no GUN. Capricorn story falls apart. There was the car chase, or was there? Now that is true. Like the car chase was like, where the car chase come from? Because Cuddy ain't say that. All right. Cuddy, quote, pulled up next to the Escalade, the witness said. There was no car chase. The judge is going to say you can disregard any witness if you find something not credible. If you see fit, it's all you need. Seems like everything is possible with Capricorn Clark. I asked her. She said, I came up here with Puff. I want to run away. I'm afraid of mountain lions. Mountain lions? I'm not saying they are not scary, but if you were kidnapped with a GUN, no. She doesn't want to say, I went there by my own volition. I'm not saying Sean Combs didn't go there. He wanted to fight him. Fine. Mother effer. Combs is not a coward. He's ready to fight. At the risk of being sexist, they are men. They fight. See, I don't like the way he just bragging about Diddy like that. Like, this ain't the damn time, Agnifilo. The man is fighting for his life. You act like you a damn groupie right now. He's Sean Combs. He doesn't need a gun. He's Sean Combs. She would have went to the moon for him. He's Sean Combs. He wanted to fight because he's no coward. He actually is, because he beat a woman. Okay, so I'm going to disagree with that. Anybody that put their hand on women is a coward, in my opinion. So some things you just need to leave the hell out. You pissing me off, Agnifilo. You really are right now. You really, let me see what y'all got to say. First of all, thank you so much, Sexy RN. You said jurors are kind of kidnapped, though. I would do almost anything to avoid it. No, you shouldn't be like that right now. You shouldn't be like that right now. But I still would have made that analogy. Like, why? You said, thanks for taking time out of your day to read and entertain us and give your unbiased expertise. Let's hit the like. I don't know if I'm unbiased today. I don't know, Sexy RN. Usually I try to be, but I don't know. I don't know if I am. I'm not liking it. But thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate that. Always supporting your girl, and I appreciate it so much. Really not happy. Sensible said, okay, I don't want to, get in the middle of your conversation. Only if sequester, not kidnapping. If going home, living your life. Jury duty just showing up to a job and doing nothing but listening. You said, please make them stop. See-through, you said, this is a horrible closer. Felicia said, yes, the government proved enough for conviction. Yes, the government has the last word. And they gonna tear him up in that. Whew. I don't know. We'll see. Hey, Jay, you said, what's up, y'all? Do you think the government did enough to win? The way Agnifilo is doing, I'm feeling a little shaky now. I ain't got that level of confidence. Told you that last prostitution charge, I just kind of was like, it is what it is. I don't know how they gonna get out of that one. Personally, I get their argument, but I'm just, that first two was always a little shaky because of the relationship. But then the government came back and was like, you only need one. So all they got to do is say whenever maybe Jane alleges she didn't want to, or told him she didn't want to, but then later on did it. I don't know how they're even going to gauge that. So I'm not even sure if that's going to work at this point, because she would say she don't want to do it, but then she would show up, go to the toy shops and do all of that. And it was like, but you did it anyway. You weren't forced to do it. You just may not want to do it in your head. Like some women don't be wanting to do it sometime with their mate, and they do it because they mate want to do it. That's kind of what it's giving for me when you say I really didn't like it. It was, maybe you was tired all day and you wanted to go to sleep. Then your mate said they want a little something, and you got to do it. So is that ex trafficking? Is that force or coercion? I don't know. Well, you don't have to show that there's a profit from the enterprise. They're just trying to show interstate. That's the baby oil and all of that being in different states and all of that. But I don't believe that an enterprise, a criminal enterprise. What I believe and what had to be, I think that because the government was so clear and concise, I think the defense should have been a bit more clear and concise, but also, of course, being personable with them. I believe personally that it should have been, and I said it in the beginning of this live, just a distinction between this is his personal life. You're looking at it from Pam, who irons her own clothes, cooks her own food. You know, every now and then I might get somebody to clean up. But for the most part, I'm going to clean up, do my own laundry, all of that. You're looking at somebody that does everything for him. From waking you up to putting your medication on your Cialis on the counter, to shadowing you all day long so you don't have to do nothing. Go get my coffee. You had people going to get cheesecake for you walking, okay? So this is what you're used to. So these people were doing what you may have done for yourself if you weren't as rich as you are. So as a personal assistant, yes, you were like, I need some drugs. Can you go grab them suckers? I can't have my name out there because I'm a celebrity. I need the hotel room set up with how I usually set it up. That's your job to set it up because this is what I do on my personal time. All those people did allege that that was his personal time that worked for him. They never thought it was a business aspect of it. They felt it was his personal time. That's what you hone in on, all the things that are considered personal. And then you get into the relational aspect of it. Yes, there was a relationship and it was toxic and he sucked as a person and he wasn't a good boyfriend and he was strung out on drugs. And we're not trying to make an excuse for drugs and alcohol. However, there were times, and if he has any mental health issues, like what Cassie brought up, that is a combination where you can't necessarily control yourself. And he shouldn't have done that because he knows better. You knew better. You knew you were hurting someone. And it's somebody who doesn't even know. People love to the capacity they know how. That's how I would have talked to him. I'd have been like, people love to the capacity. I'm not going to put my hands on nobody when I get mad. But are there times I feel like I want to put my neck around somebody, my hands around somebody's neck? Yes. But I walk away because I have emotional and I have, I don't have anger issues. I have control. There are some people that don't have control. And you've seen other people aside from Sean Combs who does not have control, and they may not take a drug. They may not take an alcohol, drink alcohol. They may not have mental health issues. And that combination was just bad. And then she stayed and they were going back and forth with each other. And most abusers are come across as controlling, but he wasn't controlling her to have X with her to make her have X. He was just a controlling person. Then she was jealous as well. She found out he with Gina. Then next thing you know, she with Kid Cudi. She see him with somebody else again or back on vacation with Kim, and you not even invited on the holidays. And you go flirt with an actor or something, or an NFL player, all these people they named. So they were in a toxic relationship, and that's the toxicity that they went in. He feels bad that, Cassie did, like, you can't really, even though I feel like some of these people have to take accountability. But when you're in these situations, you can never make it seem like there's an excuse. You can explain it, but there's really no excuse. And you can't expect people to love to the capacity the way you do. Some people grew up, they never had love. Abuse becomes abusers. So if they daddy beat on them, they might beat on their kids. This is a cycle that happens. We don't know his childhood. We know his father wasn't around. We don't know where he got this from. I say he was just bullied and he just like being a bully. That's my assessment, but I'm nobody's psychologist. They got counselor after my name, but it ain't that type of counselor. But yeah. Queen Brielle said, thanks for covering Ruth's closing argument for rest. Thank you so much. I appreciate this. The super chats. Oh yeah, Michael B. Jordan. It's not even his daughters. Pam, was the people are calling you to close because Mark messing up? I don't know what's happening, guys, I'm gonna wait to see what other people. I don't like some of these lines that are coming out, but I guess maybe we need to know them in context. I don't know. So I'm not gonna totally just disregard it. But what I'm reading, I ain't impressed. I'm just saying. If I were to be perfectly honest with you guys, which I always am, I'm just not impressed. Terry B said your defense of Diddy is better. I mean, I feel like what do they call, he got 10 attorneys, like the 11th leg or something. That's almost where I feel like we've been covering this so long that we know the evidence almost like the back of our hand too. I think there's reasonable doubt all up and through this case. I really, really do. I think the credibility of these people are shot. I just think that if you don't present it in the right way, you just gonna jack it up. Because we cannot minimize that this man was controlling people. We cannot minimize that he done smacked people. We cannot minimize that he told people, you fired every other day. I mean, some people do that. Some people power trip and they like try to wield around that you fired and then you just show up the next day. So like that, are they just going through something? So did you really mean that? Probably not. Like the one Brendan Paul was like, yeah, he said I was fired, and she said go lay low for a minute, and he lay low and went and bought him something, and then they was cool again. So he uses the "you're fired" because the control that he has. That's why he goes through so many assistants. I mean, so you learn the personality of your boss, and so I think KK just had been with him so long, she just got to the point where she doesn't pay him much attention. And there's a lot of Diddies who operate their businesses like that. They really do. So where they're just like trying to threaten that you're gonna be, I go through assistance every 30 days, tell you stuff like that, so that it makes you want to like prove to him that you belong where you are. You're not like the previous person. So hit the like button, guys. Subscribe to the channel. Okay, let's go on with this. So he wanted to fight Kid Cudi. That's why. So he's saying he did come to his house, but it was just trespassing and he wanted to fight him. We're going to have a good old-fashioned 8 a.m. Hollywood Hills John Wayne fight. The Porsche? That's not his style. There is no evidence. Who else would do it? Not evidence. Burning a car is cowardice. Be a man and fight. Y'all think Diddy really out here trying to do one-on-one fights with people and he got a whole security detail? What's in the car? Molotov cocktail. Why not show you the glove? I am suggesting something. Yes, that the investigation stunk. Terrible. Kind of like how this closing is looking to me. 2 fingerprints. What happened? Well, I don't know. You're going to determine his fate on arson. On this? The DNA was consistent with the female contributor. That witness was not helpful. If it had come back consistent with Combs, they would have bragged about it. Investigator Jimenez never followed up. He tried to find Cassie. Jimenez and Capricorn's brother obstructed him. They fought. I'm not saying Capricorn did it or Cassie did it. We're not here to solve the world's problems. Cassie's father didn't call him back. The witness was mad. Draw your own conclusions. I'm not saying that Cassie or them did it or whatever, but I'm just saying. Take with that what you will, jury. Here's an email. Why is she calling him Sean Puffy Combs? For some later proof? She doesn't mention any car. Forget it. Let's turn to the London hotel. If you want to go to someone's house, it's not a kidnapping. It's unfair. Cassie is public too. Remember, Cassie also didn't want the tape out. She had a movie coming out. Let's go back to what was said about the hotel staff maybe leaking the footage. They were worried about publicity, not a misdemeanor. Guess what happened? It was sold. The police were nowhere near the situation. Is Combs acting like a fool? Calling Cassie and saying the police are about to arrest him? She is freezing him out, as she should. He's just trying to get her attention. He leaves, goes to her apartment. He's banging on the door, maybe with a hammer. Ninja, why is you blank? Why are you banging on doors with hammers? Can't even talk. Carrie Morgan said that's why the police came. A neighbor called. Intercontinental has no police, period. So he cannot be guilty of bribery under California law, as the judge will tell you. And when Mia, the witness who testified as Mia, said she was out of Skrillo money, they should have told you that. Sean was concerned about Cassie suing him. He was not aware of any federal investigation, if there was one. So it's not obstruction. He's trying to stave off a lawsuit. And when it comes to Jane, he still might. The judge says, shall we break here? Agnifilo said, this to be fine. I need y'all to, I hope they huddled up. That was 40 minutes ago. I hope they had a huddle and said, bro, I'm going to need you to focus, okay? Anthony said Gene Deal, the worst type of dude. He wasn't even, like, he was there in the late 90s, from my understanding. I don't even be knowing what he talking about. Andrew said, I mean, y'all don't carry around hammers to bang on heavy doors in the middle of the night. Y'all know y'all do this too. Anthony said, none is expected of them, or you victim shaming. You hate women. Maybe I'm open-minded. Okay, I kind of get what you're saying. You saying maybe you open-minded, or they say that you victim shaming. Yeah, but a lot of people, they speak, people's reactions are a mirror of their inner trauma. I want y'all to reflect on that. Your responses a lot of times on certain situations is because of your experience, or even things that you may have seen, or things that may have happened to you. I really believe that a lot of people want justice because maybe they didn't get the justice they felt they deserved for the DV that they were involved in. Victim shaming, like I said, is things such as, and I'm just going to give some examples. There are things such as, I grate you, and I'm saying it because your outfit was too sexy. Maybe you should cross your legs sometimes and not sit in the front bench at the church with your legs open, and maybe the pastor wouldn't have done that. That's like blaming them, like it's something that you have done that caused this. Now, you are responsible for you. What you accept is what a lot of men will go ahead and give. What they are doing, which is concerning, is they want Diddy to be the boundary person. He has no boundaries. Look at the things that he's used to and the lifestyle that he has and the money that he has. He has no boundaries unless you create them. Once you create those boundaries, I think for the most part, he abides by those. Why? Because we seen Young Miami. Why? Because we seen Kim. He had certain people he was okay with having kids by, and certain people he didn't. Gina was on Tasha K and basically had a pregnancy situation, allegedly, and he didn't want her to have his baby. Just saying. The boundaries are what you create. We cannot let other people be responsible for our boundaries. And if you don't have any, maybe you need to get therapy. So that's a you thing. And that's what I don't like, is it's like no accountability. So the government did say they had a trauma bond, which a lot of, people in my chat were saying why she kept going back. That's what's up. But are you going to go to therapy and try to break that trauma bond so you can stop? Or are you really trying to make Diddy responsible to make sure that you don't have a trauma bond? What's this? Just saying. Let's see what some of your comments are. Ear, nose, and throat doctor said last thing since someone brought up Hippo, saw her at the Ralph Lauren. I don't know who that is. Queen Brielle said ever since Busby came out, people been hollering he is guilty of all charges. Well, most of the stuff in the Busby lawsuits and all the other lawsuits have nothing to do with how this case is at all. Like it doesn't. Like, and I think that's what made partly of what made us think that this whole criminal case was going to be different, because we looked at these lawsuits and we thought it was going to be people talking about getting raped in hotel rooms, I think it's interesting that the government hasn't called any of these people as witnesses. So did the government think that maybe perhaps some of these people might be fabricating a little bit? I don't know. Miss LaShonda, thank you so much for commenting. Said, hello, Pam. Question. Should Diddy have been advised not to settle with Cassie since this started all of this, and sue her for defamation if none of these things could have been proven true? Once Cassie filed that lawsuit, I wouldn't have settled with her. Because your point of settling is to not have this out. And once it got out and we all talked about it, settling didn't matter. It wasn't going away. So whoever advised him that it was, I'm not going to say that. Strike that. But I don't think that he should have settled. That's just my opinion. It wasn't going to, and actually, if she would have went under some deposition under oath, she might have said some different things. They might have caught her in the deposition, basically conceding to certain allegations before the federal government got a hold of her, to kind of make sure her story was crafted maybe in a certain way, because she met with them several times like everybody else. So I would not have. Now, if beforehand, I think he should have settled prior to settling, but once it got out, it doesn't matter. It defeats the purpose. Now, when you hear some of this stuff in the trial, you're looking like maybe he shouldn't have settled with her. Maybe she wouldn't have got 20 million, because the jury might have thought that she was a willing participant. Stormy said, as a social media juror, I feel gaslighted by this closing. This closing doesn't seem consistent with the evidence I heard. I've learned closing statements are not evidence. Well, phew. Thanks, Pam. Thank you so much for the cash app. I mean, the super chat. I appreciate that. Diabolita Beauty said, in my opinion, she played him like a fiddle, got her money, and he about to go to jail. That's what it's looking real similar. I was hoping the defense can, and maybe he's connecting with the jurors, and maybe they like his personality, and maybe they're accepting all of this because they like his personality. I don't know. That is the handicap that I have of not being in the courtroom, in addition to not having the full statements. Some of the stuff sounds like sketchy and all over the place, where that there are lines missing. But yes, nothing the lawyer says is evidence. That'll be a jury instruction. Now, that means our theories, right? So if, for instance, there's no evidence that someone, and I have a case similar to that, there's no evidence that someone actually opened the door for your client to come into a house to commit a murder. But then they may have where somebody said they saw Mr. Johnson earlier and someone let him in the house, so we know he was in the house. So you can try to infer, that the government is trying to get you to infer stuff. So sometimes they'll be inferring wrong. So you as the defense, like what happened in my case. So you as the defense, you're supposed to show where the inference is wrong, that there is basically no evidence. So when you do a lot of inferring and have theories that don't necessarily, you're basically trying to interpret what this evidence may mean or how it is connected. So that's what I say when you say, like, the Tory Lanez, them saying it was all because of Rock Nation. We had no evidence of that. So what the attorney said was not evidence. Now, if there was evidence of someone saying, oh yeah, we signed him, we got pissed, he didn't want to be with us, so we made his life a living hell, and you get testimony, then that is evidence. So as an attorney, when I talk about that, that is evidence for you to consider because it's been admitted. So yeah. Lamont said that's why Diddy didn't testify having a hammer to knock on the door. That's got to be a RICO predicate act. No, it's not. I don't think. They listed the predicate acts. The real question is, how did he end up with a hammer? This dang Diddy is hell. That's from Lamont. There's no evidence of bullet holes either. Philly Girl 215 said, P. Diddy has as much personality as a wet dish rag. Just my opinion. Okay. Ear, nose, and throat doctor said I would have ruined his 50th anniversary. So yeah, glad because I got a few questions. Number one, who the F are you? From there, the fight would have been on. I'm glad I didn't make it. Let's see. All right, want to make sure I get everybody. Please make sure you hit that like button. All right, so let's go on. So they had a break and then he came back. Hopefully he took a swig or something because I need him to come back a little bit better. They're probably on lunch now or almost. The government says, I did not want to object, but he asked the jury to ask why the prosecutors charged as they did. We need a curative instruction after the break. He told the jury that the Intercontinental was a misdemeanor. Curative instruction. So he basically, so what happens is this. A lot of, and the judge told them, I don't want you objecting through somebody's closing. I've been in a situation where during my closing, was it my closing? Yeah, during my closing, they did object. Like, judge was pissed. Like, we went to the sidebar. The judge was like, don't do that ish again. Unless it's like something so major. So it's rude and it cuts off what you're doing. But sometimes you do say things that you should not have said during your closing. And this judge said, do not interrupt anybody in closing. So apparently they're not objecting to, they didn't object. They followed the court's rules and they wrote it down. So they're saying he asked the jury why the prosecutors charges they did. So they want a curative instruction after the break. He told the jury that the Intercontinental was a misdemeanor. So they want all these curative instructions because they're saying he shouldn't have said the things that he said. So then he says he told the jury Mr. Combs is charged with arson. That is not the case. It's a RICO predicate. That was the exact same issue going on in the streets the other day when they was like the charges were dropped. And I'm like, no, that was a predicate act of RICO. He is not charged with arson. And it was attempted arson, which means arson was still there. It was attempted kidnapping, would mean kidnapping was still there. So that was the confusion. So you're saying if Agnifilo said he was charged with arson, you doing what the public was doing, and you the damn lawyer. Mr. Agnifilo, he said, I was going to get to RICO. On the rest, it's a fair comment. Judge said, you said, why charge a kidnapping? You can ask that. Agnifilo said, I think I'm allowed to be sarcastic. Didn't I tell y'all he sound like he being sarcastic and I'm not even there? Didn't I just tell y'all that? So he's acknowledging some of his phrasing is sarcastic. This is not the time for that ish. It's just not. He pissing me off. He really is. Oh my God. He said I was being sarcastic. Judge said in the Intercontinental video, he says it's a state matter, not federal. It's a fair comment. Then the judge said, can the government propose? Basically, tell me what curative instruction that you want, because I don't know what Agnifilo doing right now. So then they're going to come up with a break. You know, after break, I guess they're going to come up with something. Okay, let's see if they back. 11:35. Do you have proposed language? The government said, yes. Ms. Steiner has emailed the defense our proposed curative instruction. The judge said, Mr. Agnifilo, those three were grossly improper. Just to be blunt about it, the jury is not to speculate about the charge. Okay, so it ain't just me. All right. I'm not feeling you, Agnifilo, right now. The judge said, I will tell them it would be improper for you to consider that. You are to disregard those comments. So then Shapiro said, we did not object yesterday since you called out Mr. Agnifilo. The judge said, I didn't call out anything. There was an objection. And that's your fault. So you saying the government was saying things that you felt like were improper. And because the judge said don't interrupt them, you felt like you couldn't go on the record and say, we felt like a couple of the things they're saying was improper and we want a curative instruction. So y'all missed the ball yesterday. So then Shapiro says, Ms. Slavic told the jury they might have been guns at freak-offs. There's no evidence of that. It was outrageous. No one is doing anything improper. The judge said, you made no records yesterday. Here, I'm not giving the multiple instructions, just one. What? Did he? I don't know, bro. It was looking good for you doing when my girl Westmoreland was cross-examining him, and my boy, Brian Steele was getting it in too. It was looking really all right for you. I don't know, bro. I don't know. I don't think he's playing dirty, Jason. I just think everyone has a style. Everyone has their style, and you can only be who you are. And I think this is his style. I just personally don't like his style. That's all. Nothing personal to him. I would have a conversation with him. I'm sure people don't like my style. A lot of people complain about how I am on the internet. I'm like, listen, it's not the channel for you. Goodbye. I mean, it's cool. I'm not everybody's cup of tea, and I understand that. So, I don't know. No, they didn't have an agreement. The judge told them you cannot object during their arguments. What that means is while they're in the middle and he's saying these things, you can't say objection like you do during trial. But what you do is you write it down and you preserve it and you make a record. Hey, judge, when she said A, B, C, D, and E, that was inappropriate. We want a curative instruction, or we want you to advise them that they cannot just assume there were guns at freak-offs because there's no evidence of that. So there was no force or coercion. If they did that, that did not come out in the testimony. That is something to put on the record. So basically, the judge is saying you didn't preserve it yesterday because you didn't say anything when it happened. So no, they weren't supposed to object during while they're talking. However, you write it down on your handy dandy notepad and you say you go and you address the court with some issues. And that would have been one of your issues. They just, I guess, took it like, well, if he doesn't want us to object during closing, then we just can't say nothing ever. I don't know why they would get that. Anything that happens, you should try to make a record. Why? Because you need to preserve it for appellate purposes. So yeah. Yeah, I know that. For always forever. Yeah, he's married to Luigi Mangone's attorney. Sex, you said she doesn't mean you, Bishop Whitehead. Please join us when you are allowed to use YouTube or when you get out. Thank you. I need Whitehead to call me too. I'm sure he misses talking to me. Pam, I'm a huge fan. Serious question rather than arguing back and forth. It's not fair crime. Why not suggest state statute of limitation be fixed charge locally with DV? Well, I can't really answer your question because I'm not his attorney. So I don't know why they're doing anything. I'm not privy to their strategy. So I don't know. That he's not charged with state crimes. Of course, this is federal court, so they're federal crimes. They're using the alleged state potential crimes as predicate acts, and you only need 2 under the RICO statute. Okay. Let's see what else. Listen, I haven't even read all this in advance at all because some of this was happening since we've been on here. And so yeah. Okay, so then Shapiro said, we asked you do that at the end, not now. It will suggest Mr. Agnifilo did something improper. Then the defendant said then the government said it's needed now. The judge said, let's get our jury. So they don't want them to basically say, they don't want the court to say anything related to what he did wrong, because then that might just take away all his credit. Like, you jacking up on things already? That's a bad look. So the jury is there. They said Sean Combs leans over and whispers to Agnifilo, who takes a note. He probably telling them, bro, you need to say this. All rise. The judge said before the break, it was suggested you should consider why this was charged. That is not proper. I will be instructing you on the law. Mr. Agnifilo. So he still said something to them. So he said later, I guess he's going to get them instruction. So Agnifilo goes on. Now we'll talk about Mia. She loved working for Mr. Combs. This was not forced labor. Remember the birthday video we showed up? She was bubbly, popping. That's the real her. You are free to conclude she put on an act here. If Mr. Combs felt it was improper, he would not threaten to tell Cassie. It was consensual. So yeah, she did say he raped her or something, right? So now he's saying it was consensual sex. So he's not even trying to deny that this didn't happen, that he didn't have those type of relations with her. He's just saying it was consensual. I don't know if I like them agreeing that a lot of this stuff even happened. I think I would err on the side of she just wanted it to happen. Like, because after a while, it feels like a jury's going to be like, so we seen this video of you acting like a clown, but we supposed to believe that you ain't never act like a clown in none of these situations. Everybody lying about how it happened. I don't know. I don't know, y'all. When Mia says it was not consensual, she is not telling the truth. There was no unwanted sexual encounter. Mia's feelings were not platonic. Mr. Steele questioned her about these wonderful pictures and slogans. Effusive, not just a job. This is the demonstrative. You can't take it into the jury room. Consider the scrapbook she made. I'm going to read it to you. Happy 45th birthday, Puff. This is from 91 to 1999. I hope it stirs up nostalgic feelings. How great you've become. Remember, Mia made a scrapbook for him for his birthday and just went back into his whole history and put up all the great things he's done and the awards he's won and all of his accomplishments, and she made a scrapbook. She loved him. You can't fake that. That's real. Don't lose sight of that. It's not just business. He gives people a home. Look at this picture. Think of a word that comes to mind. Joy. There's KK, D-Rock, Fahim. So they showing a photo of all the staff. He created a remarkably special place. He moved people in their hearts and souls. When Mia is told she's being fired, that she is going to leave the special place, my life is over. OMG. WTF. Mia. That's not funny. Racketeer co-conspirator KK writes, Mia, answer your phone. I'm going to call your parents. That last thing she wanted to do was leave. and it's forced labor. Let's turn to the drug distribution. The U.S. said personal use is a distraction. Brendan Paul said these were personal use drugs. He said he forgot to take the cocaine out of my bag. He said I got the best lawyer in the world and my charges were dismissed. That's what he said. Sean Combs was not selling drugs. Cassie said he was a drug addict. How was he supposed to get them? Grow his own Xanax? Did he have drugs? Yes. They found it in his house. Was he using his enterprise to distribute drugs? No. You're going to have to think through this. Think through this. Now, I agree with him on that part. Did Mia go to work for Madonna? That's how people use personal assistants. I don't expect we're going to see Beyonce and CVS. That is true. See, that's what I'm talking about. Okay, like you have to show that when it comes to celebrities, stop looking at from, I need you to take yourself out of your environment and how you work hard and do everything on your own. And imagine that they don't do anything on their own. They got somebody to hold their umbrella. And I would have showed a picture of old boy holding the umbrella. They have people that drive them everywhere they go. They don't grocery shop. They don't do any of that. And part of that is for safety. Why? Because they're celebrities. The assistance by the Astroglide. It's not what the company is doing. This is not a racketeering act. I'm going to Rico. Let's go to Rico. Let's change gears. We're going to Rico. There is no evidence of possession with intent to distribute drugs. David James said he's in San Tropez. He's asked to get an 8-ball of cocaine. I asked him, anything to do with Sean Combs? He said no. He kept it for him. Why would he hide it? Why would he hide it? Why would he keep it from him? It's people in creative fields doing what people in creative fields do. Now, a lot of them do get high and drunk and do drugs and stuff, and they do a lot of that in the studios. It's not racketeering. Now I'm about to talk about Cassie. Can your ex traffic your girlfriend? Maybe if you pushed him into prostitution, but he's not making money from it. So they probably gonna come back and say you ain't gotta make money from it. And I think they already said you don't even have to complete the act or something that they came up with yesterday. So I'm telling you, the criteria to actually satisfy each element has been dwindled down with them using case law on people that may have argued these points in the court. None of this went to the United States Supreme Court to make it like law. But in that specific jurisdiction over there where the Southern District is, if some issue is appealed, then that will become precedent for that in the appellate court for that court if it's a published opinion. So they're basically able to show, like when people appeal some of these issues that they're probably arguing as their defenses, how that's not a defense. So yeah. Jane has some texts that are very anti-hotel night. Cassie, she doesn't. People are in love. People are having sex. Why would he say Jane has some texts that are anti-hotel night? Why even bring that up? People are in love. People are having sex. Let's say your partner wants to do something and you don't. Where does that land? See, I just said that. I agree with that. I agree with that, Niflo. Cassie wanted this, including to be close. It's like my wife is from LA. I hated LA. Now I love LA. Sorry, that's how it happens. Cassie, she is a beautiful, exy person. She was with Michael B. Jordan. Like the most handsome man in the world. Diddy probably over there like, the heck? The handsome man in the world. I'm the handsome man in the world. What you talking about? She not messing around. Basically, he's saying Cassie had options, okay? Because she was beautiful and she was messing with some beautiful people. Cassie is not clutching her pearls. This is how I am intimate with the man I love. You could come to love that. You want to be close. Yesterday, they said some she might have wanted. Oh, they said Kenneth, Daniel, Phillips, and Intercontinental. If she liked 75, can number 76 be ex trafficking? Talk about going 0 to 60. Nothing said to him. She doesn't want to even do these things. Mr. Donaldson cross-examined Daniel Phillip. Let's look at the text. Sean asks, are you horny? She says, yes. Talks about fantasies. That is their lifestyle. She writes, I'm not going to do too many of these. My mother would. She writes, my ussy is so hot. They are going through this together. I'm going to play a part of the video. So they put up the video, I guess, to show how great it was. In this intercontinental video, it's more likely than not, it is Combs' phone. Here she is. I'm not going to show you him throwing her down. He put up the video at a hotel. In this intercontinental video, it's more likely than not, it is Combs' phone. Here she is. I'm not going to show you him throwing her down. You've seen it. I am not hiding it from you. Now, there is a phone. I don't know where he's going with this. And here now, a well-known man sitting in his towel and socks. See how he got to throw in there? A well-known man. Got to keep feeding this man's ego while he's sitting at the defense table. You worry about the wrong thing. Today, you should be okay with being called garbage, trash, whatever needs to be said for the jury to know that you are sorry for the stuff that they saw. However, you just had toxic relationships. You ain't trafficked nobody, even though that's a different side of your life when it comes to personal. My professional is professional. I have groomed, raised, and freaking put out a lot of artists that are multi-platinum. I have businesses, I have clothing lines and that were in different stores. I had liquor line, I had all of this, and it was successful where people wanted to collab with me. They were real businesses. Let's not take away and make it seem like because I had toxic relationship, we're going to combine the two so that you can basically say the hard work, sweat, and tears that I put into my businesses are just being negated and minimized because I want to have freaky. That's what they're trying to do. Minimize a black man's hard work by saying he just wants freaky, nasty ex. That's not fair, and that's not what these laws are for. The government is weaponizing these laws instead of using them for what they're supposed to be for. Fine. Then just look disgusted. Take your glasses and just throw them on the table or something. Gotta be dramatic. Okay. And here now, a well-known man sitting in his towel and socks looks like Cassie is saying, you're being a fool. Go back to the room. Look at it. It looks to me like she says, go back to the effing room. There's nothing scary in the room then. Okay. Lisa said this case is a huge mess. That's what you got from all of this. You said it's a huge mess. Tanika's 2 cents. Thank you for the super chat. She said, my grandma said, quote, if everybody likes you, ain't doing something right. Keep doing you. Thank you so much. I appreciate the encouragement. I be needing it sometime because you know. I don't want to miss anything. I think I got all of them. So what do you guys think, huh? TLC said, can Diddy stand up and do his own closing? Because at this point, oh, God. Don said Diddy needed you. I can't help you, Diddy. I don't. I would have like straight up had a come to Jesus. Listen, I may have to say some things that you're not gonna like, but I can't make you seem like you're a demigod. I just can't do it today. I'm sure when if you get, if we worried about getting you out. That's it. Ronald said, mentioning my dukes and saying that thing, my Lord, take the My sister said he's going to prison for something. That's what she's getting out of this. Dawn said, a hot mess. I ain't a lawyer, but God dang, I could do better than that. Gee, we missing some stuff. I don't want to do them like that. But some of these lines are just like, wait, what are we doing? Oh, God. I don't know, guys. I don't know. They ain't take a break yet. He need a break. He need a break. He needs a break. Okay. I'm trying to see if anybody talking about this that I think will have something to say. I'm trying to find the pro Diddy people to see what they saying. But I don't see any. Ain't nobody on here. So maybe they still in there. So I don't know. Yeah, but Starbury, yeah, I hope they do so. I hope regardless. I hope, maybe I'm wrong. I'm just saying maybe he's connecting to the jurors. As long as he's connected to the jurors, that's cool. But I know he did say a few things that were a bit improper and the government called him out. You got to be careful. So. Diddy can't get Total to come sign the closing. You know what? This lady said, would you want a defense closing argument like this? No. Lisa said he's going down with all them exclamation points like what Agnifilo had. They are trying to protect his image, which the video has already destroyed. I think he's going to jail for the prostitution. Thank you so much for your comment, Lisa. I appreciate you, sis. Andrew said Diddy must have pissed off Agnifilo last night. So, hope he got that last invoice paid. I think he should have went with Westmoreland for closing for a number of reasons. Well, part of it too is, I guess I get. So Agnifilo's been on the case. He's lead counsel. He's been on the case since the very beginning, meaning before he was even arrested. So he was in conversation and talks with the government via email and all of that, even before Diddy was arrested. So he knows the most about this case. So I understand that Brian Steele and Nicole Westmoreland did not get on the case till about 2 weeks before trial. I think it was not the smartest move, but you also had where they probably reached out to them before, but they were caught up in the YSL case. Then you had Brian Steele represented the DA over in the case in Georgia, Ahmaud Arbery. So yeah. So he was a bit tied up and busy. So maybe towards the end, they realized they're going to need some more lawyers, or Diddy didn't feel just comfortable with who he had. And that's what happened. So I'm not saying they don't know the case like that, but Diddy probably feels more comfortable with the person who's been there since the beginning. So I've had some cases of which I was just called in to help with trial, and we didn't have the case nothing but about a week, and we did okay. But again, it wasn't all these devices, because the thing is, you have to go through every device, every phone call. You have to do everything because you don't want to miss anything. And once it's entered in the evidence, they may enter all of it in the evidence, and you don't know it was some stuff in there that was would be against your client, and now you allowed it. So you do need that time to go through every single piece and not overlook anything, even if they say it's nothing. The government is not going to tell you it's something that's on there that's exculpatory. So they just got to turn it over. That's exculpatory to your client. So something that's favorable to your client may be buried in the middle of stuff. So you have to have the time to go through everything. And this is one of those big cases. I wish he would have got somebody else earlier on. He seems to have a relationship with Agnifilo. I've, like I said, his style just is different. You know, I don't want to. I'm sure he's had wins as well, plenty of them, because I don't think Diddy would have hired him if he didn't have the wins. But the first time I heard of Agnifilo outside of this bail hearing and stuff with Diddy was him representing Rainier and what Rainier got all them years for ex trafficking, might I add. So that's why I was like, well, did he not know about that? But if he knew about Brian Steele and Westmoreland, he's definitely keeping up with who's who out here. So she's Pam, if I'm ever in trouble, I'll call you and Jesus. Put Jesus's name first. Yeah, Rico quit and he said he wished he didn't. He said that he didn't want to quit. And he said, but it sounded like maybe when they were going over strategy, he wasn't agreeing with the strategy. Yeah, Diddy wanted Tacopino and he said no. I think Tacopino, though, explained why he said no. It wasn't anything against Diddy. I think it was, he said, people were talking about Rock Nation and all of that. Don't got nothing to do with that. Just because he has a relationship with them. And Jay, he was like, they've never said don't represent him. He said it was just, he was caught up in the ASAP Rocky and it was something else where it was just conflicting. So he couldn't do it. Yeah, that rebuttal about to be. I've had cases where the rebuttal was like, dang, that 1 hour can be brutal. They get the judge just gave him an hour to do rebuttal. I think it can be brutal. They can literally go line by line and try to undo and make you think differently on all the points they think were important, and then you just hit it. So let's see if they got anything else on here. Five days later, wait a minute. Yeah, 5 days later, he texts, I'm so sorry. She replies, LOL. I was just listening to sorry. They are obviously getting over it. Cassie writes to Sean, how do I know if the drugs are going to be bad or you'll drink too much? This is about the hotel. So basically that text shows that when he was whooping her up in that hallway, he had some bad drugs, is what it sounds like. He had some bad drugs and he was drinking, and that may have contributed to his behavior. Is I think what they're trying to pull out of those text messages. Agnifilo goes on to say, Cassie told you sometimes she hit him first. They are in this together. Okay, she said there was a grape. It did not happen. It is not charged. She was asked and said, he graped me. But there wasn't a lot of lead up. Maybe it didn't happen. George Jordan said, will Diddy be found guilty or not guilty? I don't know, but we soon will. Exactly. Ladybug said, it's interesting seeing how each person is reporting on this, but thanks, Pam, for your version. I don't know what that means. What you trying to say? Yeah, you got to come back, Ladybug. So what you trying to say? Agnifilo messed up big time. Tacopino said he was working for Wendy Williams at that time, and now he's working with Fat Joe. Y'all heard about what happened with Blackburn? Did you hear that? Yeah. Blackburn in the TD Jakes case, apparently when he filed his motion to dismiss, he was doing some misquotes from the court. The court said it might have been some AI going on. So now he has to come and do he's ordered to show cause why he shouldn't be basically sanctioned and not be able, get his pro hoc vice revoked. But he already tried to withdraw out of TD Jakes' case. He was having a rough time. He was just arrested for assault. I mean, Blackburn is going through it. So the judge said either you can get sanctioned, you may have to pay TD Jakes' attorney fee, you may have to get your pro hoc vice admission revoked up out of Pennsylvania. And then the court also said, what was the fourth one? I don't know. I can't remember the fourth one. But yeah, the court basically told him you got to show up to court and explain. So he tried to withdraw, I think before, maybe he knew this was coming down. So he tried to withdraw, but the court was like, TD Jakes people pointed it out, and they said that this looks like AI, and these quotes are not what they say that they are. And because of that, you just responded and ignored it. It was like their quotes aren't exactly the way they're supposed to be. Your quotes ain't right neither. And judge was like, just pulled out a whole list of misquotes from cases, misquotes allegedly, I guess, from her order. Just was like, what are you doing, sir? I'm going to need you to come explain to me what's going on. Robert said he going to jail. I don't know. That's what they say. That's been a lot of attorneys been getting caught up in the game for using AI. Andre said, this is a RICO case. Why didn't they raid bad boy offices? Good question. If they did, I haven't heard that. Dawn said they can say all they want. That video to me tells a complete story. No one can erase that out of their mind. It only takes one time, the prosecution said in the closing argument, to say no. That's from Dawn. At least you made it. It's me. I mean, I ain't gonna be on here too much longer. We'll see. I'm trying to take them to break, because so what he's doing is supposed to do 2 hours in the morning and 2 hours in the afternoon. So and then Cassie wrote to Combs. Cassie is with her current husband. Something happened. She wrote, I told myself I didn't want anything to happen, but I'm not tripping on it. I know you aren't either. She gets a FaceTime. Boogie Bat Phone is her husband. Yes, that's her husband. Combs wrote, you act like a broken-hearted angel. You need to stop living your lie. Cassie said, I don't know who that was. I was saying thank you for last night, and I enjoyed it. The oldest trick. I don't know how Alex found out, but she says great. So I do agree with that. I think that the day that she said she was great was when Alex found out. Like, I think that Alex found out about it. And so in order to say that, to have an excuse for him, she was like, I didn't want it from him. He took it from me. That's what I think happened. That's what I always believe. But, I was not there. I think the day that she said that, because the way everything was kind of matching up, because I want to say, was it in her, it was another discrepancy in the times, like how that bungalow situation happened. It was a discrepancy in when she first said it happened, and then when she kind of coordinated into the FaceTime, I guess, when her husband FaceTimed her. Of course, she wasn't married to him then. And then there was like trying to connect it almost with that time when he FaceTimed or whatever. I don't know. But so, yeah. So there's that. They're bringing up that. I just don't like necessarily the way he's wording things in his closing. But, it's all a lesson to everyone. I think if I was in there, I could grasp more of what's going on. But like I said, I don't see facial expressions. Like the jury might be eating it up. I don't know. I'm just saying, like, some of the wording just seems a bit suspicious. Maybe he's going off of his head. So the words that are coming out just may not always come out as articulate because he's just going off of the dome. So, Britt Brad, thank you for the super chat. You guys is loving on your girl today. I appreciate it. Said his son dropped a song saying, blank the witnesses today. One show up with a free comb shirt to court. God is about to be to humble the ENT. They are proving the Fed's case. They think they above the law. Are you saying in this super chat? I'm just trying to make sure I understand. Are you saying in the super chat these are the lyrics of the song, like this whole thing? Or are you saying you go all the way up into maybe the first line and the rest is what you're saying? Guess it's kind of coming together, and I want to make sure I properly comprehend what you're trying to relay. Trying to pick up what you're putting down. Dom said, Pam, what happens to the sealed testimonies? Do the jurors see that? They do. I thought there were several documents sealed. Yes, the jurors get to see that. They get to see videos that the public can't see that are sealed. That's why they have the headphones. They got to watch certain other tapes. They watch several tapes, actually. And they'll have those back when they're deliberating. People, let's see what people in these comments saying. They're saying if it was all consensual, why did multiple women say no and get punished for it? Someone else said he is messing up his own argument. Wait for the rebuttal unless you are not objective. This is terrible. Somebody said the defense only has the first few minutes good. The rest is hurting their case. Would be sick to lie about. Great. That's BS for you to say. His daughters are in the courtroom, by the way. No great victim gets great, then goes to have sex with the person again while in a relationship with someone else, then brags about how good it was in court. So because she didn't press charges, it didn't happen. WTF. Kat said this entire closing is speculation. I would be pissed if I was Teddy. See, so it ain't just me. Oh, gosh. It's a little rough. Okay, let's see. A broken-hearted angel. So then Agnifilo says there is no evidence of grape. She had consensual sex with him after. I have to defend this. It is in the case, but it is not charged. Cassie was asked, what kind of pain did Sean put you through? She spoke about his own personal pain, his shame. It's beautiful, she said. He felt pain, and most painful to me was carrying around his shame. Jane says almost the same thing. I felt my partner was trusting me in a very vulnerable moment. I wanted to go along if I can be my partner's escape. Oh my gosh, is this over yet? Is this over? Are they just going to let him keep going? Let's see, do I see anybody? Mouth open.
Cassie Ventura has been, she was like the star witness or one of the star witnesses in this trial, Sierra. And
I'm trying to see, like, ain't nobody on here rushing, it looks like, to be talking about the defense. I'm just saying. Okay, a lady 747. Thank you for the super chat. Say he sounds like pro Diddy anti Cassie chatbot. Oh. I don't know. I'm just confused. He didn't say it was because of his loyalty to Rock Nation. I saw, if you're talking about Tacopino, Brit Brat 7747 said King released the song this AM saying F you, the witnesses. The other one came to court wearing a free comb shirt. The arrogance is unreal. Thank you so much, Brit Brat. Okay, I get you. I get you now. It was just a little, run together, and I want to make sure I understood what you were saying. Marty said facing life, and he's still in his feelings about the trainer. Them text messages that got released, he was crashing out. If you don't know what I'm talking about, see the previous Diddy video. Kathy said, I can't wait to hear from someone that was in the court because just reading it seems like he working with the prosecution. Me too. I don't even know if Dennis is in there, but I don't see anybody that has come outside. I need to hear somebody from in the court. But I have not run across anybody that is not. Thank you so much for sharing with everyone. Okay. Sorry, guys. Had to talk to Danielle. You said King appears to be a little slow. Sharp Powell said, we love your commentary, Pam, because you're a part of legal profession, not someone pretend to understand the process, rules, evidence, and legal statutes and strategies. Jeez. I don't even know if I'm giving clarity anymore. I don't know. I don't know what I thought this closing was going to be, but I definitely didn't think it was going to be like this. I don't know. I think this is last shot, and I don't feel that great about his last shot right now. Because I really don't believe that those first two counts were necessarily proven. I don't care what exclusions they add. I just don't believe that. If it was worded correctly and everything was done correctly. But you don't want this type of precedent happening. Ooh, this is a slippery slope. You're going to start seeing coming out one by one, getting in trouble for stuff. Carla said, if you're an aggressive woman, you might not understand the vulnerability of a naive woman. There is no need to be aggressive. He's getting his point across. Carla, I don't even get what you're saying right now, because he's definitely not being passive in this moment. So I guess I'm not understanding where you're going with this, Carla, because aggressive women and passive women, what does that have to do with what's going on? Maybe I just came in the middle of your conversation, and pardon me and excuse me if I am, but I'm just not getting it. Don said, Pam, last question. Girl, you ain't got to be your last question. We over here to converse. Pam, last question. What do you think about all the names prosecutors listed that didn't testify? Do you think they will expand the indictment post-trial? I'm wondering, what was interesting to me is they threw certain names out there, Young Miami. They didn't have a problem. But then the person in Vegas, they wanted to keep anonymous. Now, that made me think like, I'm not even going to lie. It made me think twice about that. Why wouldn't they say their name, but they say everybody else's name? But we'll see. It depends on the success of this. I think if they're successful in this one, they probably will try to go after other people. That's why I said the slippery slope. A lot of these entertainers are probably quiet because they're worried. Why wouldn't they go charge for charge and say why there is doubt instead of keeping up with the salacious prior testimony? What you're saying is what the government did. They kind of went through the story and then they went over the elements. That's kind of how we typically do it. and you go over, this says this, reasonable doubt. This is what I'm telling you reasonable doubt is. And then you say the facts that go with why it's reasonable doubt. I don't know, guys. I don't know. Okay, let's see if Agnifilo has anything else to say. We not on break yet? Okay. Okay, they breaking now. Because I need a break from this too. It says, Jane says, I'm getting vulnerable with you in the hotel rooms. I don't want to see Young Miami on a bigger yacht with you. On a bigger yacht? See what I'm saying? Jane was trying to get in where she fit in. So she was getting jealous because she was a secret. It wasn't private. She was a secret. He didn't want nobody to know he was even messing with you. Okay. So you was a secret. He was loud and proud with Young Miami. And then she on bigger yachts than what you on. She says, I am getting vulnerable with you in the whole, like, look what I'm doing with you, but she gets bigger yachts than me. That's because her boundaries was probably different than yours. You didn't have any. I don't want to see Young Miami on a bigger yacht with you. That's not ex-trafficking. Well, he said that. So let me read that again. Agnifilo said, Jane says, I'm getting vulnerable with you in a hotel room. I don't want to see Young Miami on a bigger yacht with you. So he says, that's not sex trafficking. If you get deep into the deep self, it's not sex trafficking. It's people in love being real. So I agree with you. He's given a lot of commentary, but you need to, what happens is they're going to be charged to go with what these jury instructions say, what facts got to go with the prompts. And so when you're generally just saying it's not sex trafficking, why isn't it sex trafficking, Agnifilo? One, because sex trafficking requires you prove this. They have not proven that. Two, it requires that you prove this. They have not proven that. Three, they were supposed to prove this. They have not proven that. This was a consensual relationship. And that's it. Nothing more and nothing less. Some people may not understand the relationship, but Diddy tried to be honest and told her, I'm dating you, but I'll date you, you, and you too. And I'll probably date your mama if she cute. That's just what Diddy did. She was okay with the arrangement. She was doing things, what she was doing, and this is what her mistake was. And it's obvious what she was doing because a lot of women do it. You feel like if I'm the one that goes over and beyond, then he's going to pick me. I do the things that the wife won't do. I do the things that he's complaining about with the live-in girlfriend. I do the thing. No, that makes you a side chick, and it's the 80-20 rule because you're only doing a small percentage. You're not doing the big percentage of who people want to do life with. So that's your mistake. The freakier I am, the more he don't want to let go. That was your weapon that you tried to use with him to keep him in your life. And that's how I would explain it to the jury. And you telling me that they wouldn't understand that? Man. So basically, Agnifilo says I have an hour left. So basically the judge said I'll charge at 4 or even 5. So they're going to give the jury instructions at about 4 o'clock. T. Rael said this whole case is a disaster for a lot of people. Indictments are coming if Diddy is freed or convicted. Lisa says, say that again, dang it. I don't know which part. Not an hour left of this. It is Jules, but not for me because I have to eat my food that I started when I got on here. And I have some laundry and stuff to do. Okay. So I hope you guys appreciate it coming on here and us going over the closing argument. I am going to look out to see some people and what their opinions are. I'm sure the people that are pro-government are probably having a ball if I were to guess. But I want to see if people that are even pro-Diddy, if they're willing to just, how they're going to say. I'm more interested in knowing if the jury is eating it up. Because, and again, we don't got all the information on here from the tweets. He can only do so much. But from what I've seen, I'm just like, But, it may be that it needs to be in context. I don't know. But you guys, maybe we'll be back. But I know for this next hour, I'm about to eat, okay? So I want you guys to do the same. Make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Thank you. We've had a great conversation today. I enjoyed each and every one of you. Thank you again to everyone that has supported the channel. You guys have been so super generous and kind on today. We'll see, y'all. We'll see. But anyway, make sure your notifications on. So just in case I do come on, you don't miss out on it. All right. Okay. I'll talk to you guys soon.